The 2022 Batman film defines the reason I want to make movies. It's so beautifully made with so much character and detail in every shot, and it's clear that the filmmakers actually cared about this movie. This may not be the best Batman film, but I can 100% say that it is my favorite. Every character in this movie is so well acted, plus the choreography and moody lighting is so incredibly cool. The absolutely beautiful set pieces are probably one of the ways the Batman captures my attention so well. Unlike all the other Batman movies, Gotham actually feels like a real place. Another thing I noticed is that every single set in this film is instantly recognizable. A lot of the settings are seen multiple times, further making the city of Gotham feel smaller and more real. Similarly, I feel due to the Batman's unique visual style that it differs itself from the other Batman films, being much more raw and gritty and having a more contained color palette. You could always argue that The Dark Knight has the same qualities, but I argue the movie feels much cleaner and less realistic. I think it's also worth pointing out how great it would have been if the Batman was rated R. We have yet to have a rated R Batman film, unless you count Joker and some of those animated ones. This movie wasn't necessarily held back by being PG-13, as it still contains many adult themes, and honestly some pretty terrifying imagery. However, I think it would be incredibly refreshing to see Batman break someone's hand in a gruesome fashion, or have the characters cuss realistically, since I feel like many of the characters in this movie, like the Penguin, have that Italian mobster who cusses in every sentence type of vibe. Anyway, I guess they felt obliged to make this movie PG-13, to be more accessible, and to have a new generation of kids that have their new Batman. Since I feel like I must talk about Batman himself, yes, Robert Pattinson is often seen as the emo Batman, and he can be classified as a literally me character, but I think Pattinson does something very special with the character. He clearly carries the weight of his sorrow on his shoulders, and I get the sense that he is in a state of constant depression. But I also see the humanity in this figure. He behaves like a human being and fights like a real person. Speaking of his fighting style, I've seen some people online say they have complaints on how he fights, saying things like he has no combat style. He's also a little bit too reckless in some instances, and his suit seems to be basically invincible, as he is shot point blank and seems almost unaffected by that. I understand where these people come from, but at the same time, this Batman style isn't exactly meant to be refined, since he hasn't been doing this for very long. Additionally, it adds to Batman's realism in my opinion. After all, he is really just a guy with really expensive weapons and the will to help out. Furthermore, I quite like how in the film, Bruce Wayne is kind of a celebrity who is fading into obscurity, and he's anything but the sociable ladies' man that has become synonymous with the name of Bruce Wayne. In this movie, Bruce is a grieving, antisocial guy who rarely makes public appearances. This takes away the dilemma of people recognizing Bruce as Batman because no one really sees him or knows him too well. Something really interesting that the Batman does is combine genres. To explain, the movie combines action, horror, and crime in a really cool way. Batman is literally feared by basically everyone in this movie, as he purposely goes out of his way to scare them. I think this is really cool and also kind of funny because we get to watch bad guys get terrified by this menacing cloaked figure, and it's pretty awesome. To continue, the crime or detective genre is incorporated expertly. The Riddler comes up with riddles and ciphers, and Batman and the police work together to solve them to lead to the next clue. This Batman is not only a really good puncher, but he's a good detective as well. I find that really cool. So, even though I've just said how much I love this movie, with countless reasons why, I guess I'll get into some reasons I understand why people don't like this film. First of all, some people say this movie is too long. Now, I understand this if you're going into this thinking it's just going to be a superhero movie where the Batman beats up some bad guys, and it's just good, stupid fun. However, if you go into this movie knowing its length and its aspirations, I think the runtime is much more acceptable. Also, I feel like this movie goes by a little faster than The Dark Knight in my opinion, which is literally two movies smashed into one, despite being shorter. Second complaint I've heard, which I think is acceptable, is the blurriness and the darkness. This movie sometimes gets a little hard to know exactly what's happening due to the darkness, and some people aren't fans of not seeing all of the action. I 100% get this, and I also think some of the action sequences would be so much cooler if it was just a wee bit clearer. Also, the background is usually completely blurry, and sometimes even the characters are completely blurred to a sickening degree. Mainly that one shot with the Riddler putting duct tape on his victim. Some may say these blurry scenes are a bit too much, or maybe even pretentious. I just think these are all very deliberate stylistic choices that ultimately add to the intentional feel of the film. Anyway, I just really wanted to talk about why I like this movie so much, and it's definitely one of those movies I think about a lot, and one of those movies that inspires me to become a filmmaker myself. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed, and thanks for watching.